All right, welcome back to this special edition of Cannabis in Canada with Jason Wilcock. What's up, Rob Klein? My brother from another mother. Got a few of yous out there. I wish I could say I was here on doing today's show with a brighter spirit or a clearer mind or a better understanding of what the fuck's going on in BC. But for those of you that don't know, and some might know, whether it's Regine Huel, and we'll be going over this article, whether it was Chad Jacket and Tanya Jacket, and I'll give the history with Chad and I. And I'm going to be very cautious with what I say for legal reasons. Not because I'm engaged in anything, but because I'm not trying to engage anybody. I'm trying to do my job as a media reporter within the cannabis culture, and without beating around the bush on anything. Hey Evelyn, welcome to the show. Evelyn was our big winner for the Christmas Eve giveaway. I've made the decision to give away a $2,000 Kind light. I believe they're probably now about $1,500. Kind LED 1,000 watt light. And we'll be talking more about that in the show. That will be given away on New Year's Day. And we'll have to talk more about the steps and stuff when we get to it. Just to kind of keep myself on track here, give people a chance to tune in. And
yeah, I'm just sharing it around, hon.
Thank you. As we share it around, get your dab rigs out. To our winners, Evelyn, your package will go out as soon as the crew at High Voltage are back at their stations and back at work. Everybody's on holidays right now, but yours will be the first package out, is what I've been told. So congratulations once again, that was a massive win. To our TMB winners, it's the same thing. TMB Naturals, of course, will be off for the holidays, but when they're back at work, I've sent them off the email with the information, and your 2 enhancers and your 4 refill packs will be on the way to you. So congratulations to both those winners. We still have the Natural Remedy. I'm just waiting for my webmaster to change up all the way that we do all the things from one thing to another. Anyway, a bunch of different links. But this Natural Remedy pack, I kept it in the vacuum pack for a reason. Because yeah, you don't want me to get inside this vacuum pack. What?
It's fucking with my ability to just share with people. I can only share into groups right now. Sorry. So
anyway, there's a TNR Remedy giveaway that we're trying to give away here. $500 giveaway. Thanks again to our sponsors and to the Natural Remedy. And again, it's a hash sampler in there, and then there's also again a flower sampler. So basically, a la carte for hash and for sampler, which basically means go through their website, look at all their different flowers, and you can expect that will be in the sampler pack, and equally with the hash. So anyway, that's another reason. I'm going to get into the steps and that later, but getting back to the main story, which is really the province and what they're doing. There's a lot going on here in BC, and they just upped the ante. Before we had this, we had problems with it's desktop, that's why. We've had problems before with CSU units, with green teams. You know, we've had all this. The one thing that we haven't had is a sort of problem that I don't know how I can even word this, how we're sort of facing right now. We're facing a problem that is beyond the scope of what most of us thought. And what I mean by that is most of the people that kept their dispensaries open heard about legal constitutional challenges that are going on, only they're not named plaintiffs, so they're not protected by it. There's no injunction protecting all dispensaries in Canada or anybody that wants to sell weed. You know, there's no injunction on the government that stops the police from arresting us. So I know people have been trying to hold it down for the medical community, hold it down for the underground, hold it down for a free and fair market. And the price that we need to pay is the ultimate price sometimes. And I circle back to my friendship with Chad Jacket, going back to the days we did Time for Hemp together. Long before there was people called themselves Jade Maple and Cannabis Life Network. We're here from America. And when I look at all that Chad built out, see, Chad had a good thing. He had his own thing going. He had his own medical supply. He was doing a good thing. He had his chickens. He was a happy man. He's a farmer. Some people help push him to open the dispensary. Be part of the movement, man. Be part of the resistance. Stand up. Well, Chad is a stand-up guy. He'll stand up and he'll do it. And he done did it. Went and opened his dispensary. In an act of outright defiance, saying, you're wrong, Mr. Government. You can't stop us from helping our community. You can't stop us from doing a community service that you're failing to do by your own legalization model. Now, I'm sure his lawyers will be arguing this in court. But what was different about this is they know they're not going to get far in court because the courts keep ruling on the side of the medical patient or on the side of the dispensaries for some reason. Not so much ruling on their side, but ruling in their favor of a lesser penalty. So in this case, they brought in civil forfeiture laws. Changes the whole ballgame. Proceeds of crime charges are usually saved for organized crime syndicates. Hells Angels, Italian mobsters, Asian gangs, whatever, street gangs. Anything that's considered organized, construed, criminal effort versus providing a community service for medical need. See, language is very powerful. It depends on how you say it. Let me throw the article over here. I'd like you guys to think that this is like the 17th, I think it was, that they hit Chad's place. This was reported on December 22nd. I want you guys to think about 3 days before Christmas, people are talking about losing their homes. And this sent shivers down the spines of everybody connected to any of these dispensaries, whether it's Budzilla, I call him Shrek because of my past, but I don't wish him any ill will, as I would not anybody in the cannabis culture simply selling cannabis. You don't need to be treated like a criminal, regardless of warnings. But as you get into this article, they talk about operators of pot shops in Vancouver and Squamish have found themselves in crosshairs of civil forfeiture proceedings by the BC government. And claims this month the BC Supreme Court, and again, the BC Supreme Court, the province's civil forfeiture office seeks to seize a pair of mortgage properties in Squamish and Pemberton areas valued at $1.93 million and more than $830,000 in cash seized at marijuana shops in Squamish and Vancouver. So what they're talking about is my friend's properties and the money they seized from his dispensary, which was not $830,000, because I don't think my friend would be that stupid to keep that much money stored in a potentially raided location. Now Shrek on the other hand, Regine Huel on the other hand, him keeping a lot of that kind of cash in one location wouldn't surprise me because of who he is. But whatever. It is what it is. But as you read through these numbers, you can see why this looks really bad. But this is what they're going after, is Chad's property. Now Chad's farm and his house is a lot. So when you think about, well, how serious is this? My bigger question is, there's 5 people on a board of directors. So as we continue reading down here, it says civil forfeitures claims allege that marijuana shops are illegal, as if they're not licensed to distribute or sell marijuana or cannabis to any person or entity. Now this is true, 100% within the law. You are not legally allowed to sell cannabis when you have a federal grow license for personal use. That's why it's for personal use, not resale. Anyway, as we continue down, it says, named the civil suits are Regine Joseph Huel, the director and sole owner, mind of Budzilla Cannabis Incorporated, for an alleged illegal pot shop in Vancouver, and Chad William Jacket and Tanya Lynn Jacket, directors and operator minds of Grassroots Medicinals Incorporated, for alleged illegal pot shops in Squamish. Now I know you guys can read, and I'm kind of reading this for you, but the reason I'm reading these names out is because they only name Chad and Tanya, which is his wife, who just had a baby. They only name those 2. Now I would also point out that there's people that work with CLN that sit on the board of directors of these places. So there's a lot of different stuff that makes me a little bit concerned about why there's only 2 names here. And I feel sorry for Chad, I feel sorry for Tanya, and I feel sorry for their family and all this bullshit they're going to have to go through now. My bigger question is, where are the people that got them to brand themselves Liberty Farms? The police seem to know a lot. Let's keep reading. So, according to a case filed December 11th, Huel illegally operated a marijuana dispensary at 2267 Kingsway in Vancouver. Police visited the shop in April to warn about possible enforcement, unlawful selling of marijuana. So, Shrek was warned that his kingdom was coming down. In September, Vancouver police observed the Kingsway store. Several jars containing dried marijuana, various marijuana paraphernalia, several bottles labeled marijuana extract, weigh scales, $811,661.60 in Canadian currency, $4,262, and 19 1-ounce silver coins. Vancouver police seized. I don't know who keeps that kind of money in one place. That's why I said I don't think my friend would be keeping $800,000, almost $1 million in one place. And even worse is if that's not Reg's money, then that presents even more problems. But this civil forfeiture is a whole I don't know who the fuck keeps that kind. I'm sorry, but who keeps that kind of fucking money on site of a possible raid location? That's already been warned. You're going to get raided. If you've already been warned by the police, you're going to get raided. Why would you keep that much money there that they're just going to take? Now it's in the hands of Popo. It's in the hands of, it ain't going nowhere until trial commences. It's crazy. But it was seized. That was back in September. And then according to a claim, illegal activities also included possession of proceeds of crime money, laundering, and failure to declare tax income. Now, everybody remembers Al Capone and tax evasion in America. Well, you know, not failing to declare your tax here is pretty much tax evasion. Anyway, the civil forfeiture claim cites alleged previous illegal activity by Huel, including the seizure by police of marijuana at Budzilla in 2014. Now, I remember that raid because I covered it on my channel. So that particular raid, the seizure of marijuana by police and Mercedes driven by Huel in 2017, and the seizure of dangerous dogs by Budzilla. Now, Reg had a couple nice dogs. I didn't see them as dangerous. Now, because they're pit bulls, of course, the police are going to say they're dangerous, but it doesn't make them dangerous. Now, I'm not sticking up for Reg here, don't get me wrong. Shrek and I don't see eye to eye on a number of fronts. But when it comes to another warrior that fights in the cannabis culture going down, I don't stand by that. I don't stand by civil forfeiture laws being associated to victimless crimes. Unless someone can show me Reg is victim. Reg hasn't hurt anybody. He's only hurt the federal government's bottom dollar. They've already taken his car, his dogs, his car, his money. I mean, $811,000, that's a lot of money to lose. Probably one of the biggest fucking seizures I've seen. I don't know if they froze his bank account. I mean, I'm kind of jumping to the assertion that they got it from the dispensary the way this reads. Anyway, let's get on to Chad, because really this isn't about Budzilla as much as it is about Chad and where I'm going with this. Also on December 11th, a claim filed against the Jackets. The Civil Forfeiture Office alleges they operated an illegal marijuana dispensary on Tall Tourist Road in Squamish. Now, I would remind you that there was people that was pushing Jack or pushing Chad and Tanya, who often never got off the farm. They're very busy people on the farm. So I know this because I knew them as my friends before they got involved with these other people called CLN, Cannabis Life Network. So people that encourage you to brand yourself, go open that dispensary, be that guy, stand up, do it, but they don't do it themselves. Well, now my friend's gonna lose potentially his farm, his house, maybe even be behind bars and not see his kids grow up. Or his kid, grow up, his newborn baby. Now, what I want to point out is, again, this right here, also on December 11th. Now, the claim was filed against the Jackets. Now, when I read this, I go right to lawyership. Who filed the claim? Somebody targeted the Jackets. And only the Jackets. That's why the other board of directors and other people are not on this criminal indictment. Civil forfeiture bullshit. I don't know what you want to call this. I don't even know if it's a criminal indictment. The claim also alleges that Liberty Farms, north of Pemberton, unlawfully produced marijuana products, unlawfully sold to grassroots. Well, you see this here? This is because somebody, again, said, hey, call yourself Liberty Farms, tell them where you are, you know, fucking let everybody know who the fuck you are, you know, and just fucking be the man. You got this. You the man. Sounds like some American fucks that just don't know the business. And when you're up in the mountains, you know, Pemberton area, you're not always up to speed. Unless you're on the internet daily, you're not always up to speed with what's going on. So somebody suggested they become, not only this, but Chad runs a couple other things, and I'm not going to mention what they are just because there's a lot of people watching this show, including law enforcement and federales. So with that being said, I'm very cautious of what I say. Now, this is an alleged conjecture on part of police, but at the same time, unfortunately, Chad became so comfortable because the people he was trusting, his advisors, his friends, his supporters, that were supposed to be his closest clique, led him astray and told him to open a dispensary. And when they said, stop doing it or we're going to raid you, we don't want to raid you, but we will. Somebody said, hey Chad, stand up, be the man. You got this. You like, fuck Alex Jones, man. Fuck them. They're the government. Fuck them. Excuse all the language over the holiday season, but seriously, this is, somebody rev Chad up. Chad never had aspirations to run a dispensary when I met him. And we hung out. He never had aspirations to run some friggin' goddamn growers union. Never had aspirations to do anything. Over and above, help people and do what was right and just. That's why we fought in the coalition side by side. Anyway, in filing the civil forfeiture notice, and again, I don't know who filed it, but in filing the civil forfeiture notice, office noticed that jackets had personal use and dedicated use production licenses. So in other words, they were designated growers for somebody, which is the dedicated use production license, but did not have licenses to distribute or sell marijuana. I'll repeat, since Parker and since the introduction of the MMAR in 2001, or 2003, sorry, the MMAR was introduced, and when the MMAR came out, it might be 2001, but either way, when the MMAR came out, oh shit, I lost what I was even going with that. I'm looking at this next line here. In June, the jackets were worn. See, like Reg, he's been worn multiple times and raided and decided to reopen. The jackets were only warned. But they were warned about civil forfeiture and that somebody had filed a claim against them. Now, I don't know why more wasn't done to look into who filed a claim against you for civil forfeiture, because that's pretty serious. I don't even know, because Chad's a simple farmer. He's a simple man. I don't know if he even fully understood that they could come in and actually do this and take all this. Now in November, right before Christmas, they love doing this shit before Christmas, but right before Christmas, in November, the RCMP visited Squamish store and observed several jars containing dried marijuana, several bottles labeled marijuana extracts, $13,000 in cash and USB sticks according to the claim. Now that's of course the CSU unit and the police just going in and saying, oh, we're just taking the money that we believe is proceeds of crime. No, they're all working together hand in hand. The cash and USBs were seized by police, as I just mentioned. So this is the CSU, the way that they work. The police will seize only cash and drugs, and the CSU unit will collect all the paperwork they need to build the case. It's corrupt, it's not a proper warrant, and I believe it needs to be addressed. I just don't know how, because I'm not an attorney. Attorneys listening, please step up. The province claims a house in Squamish at 38108 Hemlock and Liberty Farm north of Pemberton at 7780 Owl Ridge, Mount Currie are proceeds of crime and have been useful to launder money. The Jackets are also accused of failing to declare tax, so tax evasion, laundering money, and proceeds of crime. That's what we're here to talk about today. Maybe now y'all understand why it was not an easy show for me to come on and try and talk to you about and address. When it's personal friends, it's a lot different to read about it because these are things that I'm not going to get into Chad's personal story and his background, but either way, you can't just seize people's property. And the picture that they have up here is not the property that they're talking about seizing. That's what's funny. They put a picture up there and they're saying Google Maps. But then again, it could be the second house that they're talking about. My bigger thing is that they're using civil forfeiture laws now, and for anybody out there that does know about civil forfeiture laws, please speak up because we could use the help. To be honest, that's just where I'm at. I don't know a lot about civil forfeiture laws. I know they're generally saved for organized crime syndicates. You know, usually proceeds of crime is organized crime. In this case, it's being used as just weird. I forgot to change the title on. To people watching on YouTube, I apologize. I forgot to change the title. I just noticed that. But I wanted to jump on here. Of course, this just broke, I think, last night. I think people were just letting each other know, and we were talking. And for me, I wanted to wrap my head around it because there's a few different things that kind of add up to me. There's this couple, Amber and Mike Robot, that like to run around the country, driving around, meeting everybody. I find it awful interesting that Jerry Martin takes a nice long drive to Nova Scotia with him, and a couple weeks later, he's raided. And then Regine Huell's been actively talking with Amber and Mike for quite a bit in the past little bit. I don't know about what, and I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm just throwing that out there for y'all to fucking think about. You know, be careful who you talk to in this modern day. Be very careful who you talk to. I would agree. Posting his address is something that wasn't right, but at the same time, it's no longer his. Again, civil forfeiture laws don't have to wait for, I believe, if my understanding is correct, you don't have to wait for the laws to change. Sorry, you don't have to wait for a conviction. They take your shit first, and then if you get let off, they give it back. But they take your shit. They take everything. They're like Fish and Game, taking you if you're caught without a license. They'll take your car, your fishing rods. They'll take everything in the car. They don't give a fuck. That's the unfortunate part. And you know, they did this right before Christmas. I think it's a couple days before Christmas is when they actually announced these raids and stuff. And then we've seen Mr. Dana Larson get raided. We've seen Mr. Ted Smith get raided by CSU units. These are all legacy clubs. These are some of your oldest clubs in BC and activists. Unfortunately, this is the problem, is that I don't think that the city council in Squamish is going to have any say over civil forfeiture laws that are provincially regulated. That's the problem. Let me just double check. I'm almost positive they're provincially regulated. I'm almost positive they're definitely okay. The Civil Forfeiture Act became law in 2006. It targets the proceeds of instruments and unlawful activity. It was created to ensure that people cannot profit from unlawful activity or use property in any way that may harm other persons. Civil forfeiture is designed to target property, not people. So in other words, rather than go to jail, let's just take his house. You know, what's going to hurt him more, putting him in tent city or putting him in jail? That makes a lot of sense. Anyway, it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to show you guys what I found, and you can see it for yourselves. Google's pretty simple. You can see civil forfeiture laws and how they work, and then they show the breakdown. You know, I believe in this case, this is for the province of British Columbia. So, you know, we can take a look at that, and it'll tell you the same thing. So this is exactly what applies to British Columbia. And this is what they're invoking on Mr. Jacket and his wife and their family, quite frankly. And it's sad. Now, circling back to who, I know I'm jumping around here. A lot of people don't live in BC and may not know the politics of the cannabis culture or how all this stuff is played out or why it's played out. But I don't know how many people have also stopped to think about what precedence does this set for the rest of Canada? That becomes the question. What precedence does this set? There's much more to it than what is stating, and you are missing key information in the decision to keep going for grassroots even after CSU. I'm not missing key information. Chad chose, after they went in there, to reopen. Chad chose to defy them. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't have his day in court to challenge that law versus take civil forfeiture laws and use them to take his property. I've never been one for civil forfeiture laws. I can't sit there and say that they're okay, you know, and hopefully that's not what they get away with, you know. And you're right, it's hard to report on something that you just hear about. You know, it's very hard to report on it, and nobody's claiming that we're reporting anything but what's in the newspaper. Everything I've read is in the newspaper. So there's certainly no assertions or no friggin' guesses being made. And yes, I know about the CSU going and hitting their place. And again, I say, who encouraged Chad to open back up? Who encouraged him to open back up? And then, where are they now? Again, I guess we'll see. We'll see who pays for the trial. That's $1 million. If you want a constitutional challenge. It's not going to change that when they've taken all his money. It's kind of hard to hire a lawyer when you've got no money. That's where your friends and the people that help brand you and build you out, you would think they would step up and say, you know what, we're going to fight this. And I'm hoping that's what happens. Don't get me wrong. I'm hoping that's what happens. A large part of Chad's build out was with a large group like Cannabis Life Network. This is another people. I've had my own history with these guys. I don't even need to get into. They are also, their real name is Jade Maple, as you can see at the very top. So Cannabis Life Network is who used to call themselves Cannabis in Canada, or thought that they could and get away with it, and that didn't happen. They were chased off of my channel accordingly by law and forced to change themselves to the Cannabis Life Network. Well, now things are starting to open up. More and more people are starting to see things. And I've seen what these particular people have done to other brands. So when I scroll through their website, I think, okay, Chad was the guy that fucking opened this up for them. Chad was the guy that blew them up. Chad's a really, really, really good guy that way. So we look at this Jade Maple situation and we say, okay, Cannabis Life, Jade Maple. So that you'd think they would be reporting not bong hits, premieres on expert joints. I don't see anything about the raid. I'm hoping there will be more. It's just frustrating as hell to wonder why is that not there? Yeah, Cypress Hill and Be Real, because these are the guys that bought 420. That's right, bought 420. So it is what it is. I link all this shit up together, and I start questioning, who is it really that's sitting inside of our community? You know? Why did this stream not go? I got 31 people watching, but I don't know if that's working, huh? I'm hoping you guys can see me on Facebook. Sorry, I'm just kind of distracted here for a second. As I think about this, because the more I look at it, it's just like, you know, like I really hope that after making so much money and doing what they're doing, off of 420, of all things, you know, I never thought I'd be saying that, but they're making this money off of 420. If you're making money off 420, right, you got to hear what I'm saying. They bought 420. So if you've been going to 420 like I have been going to 420 for 25 years out here in British Columbia, well, there was always Pot TV and CCHQ flags only, because the Emery camp pretty much ran the facilitation along with Mr. Larson. Now, 25 years later, and with legalization, and with the Emery's trials and tribulations, what do we get? Lickety split barber trick. Well, we get 420 being sold. So 420 is no longer being facilitated, organized directly by us, per se. Rather, Americans that have come to Canada and decided what the cannabis culture is or isn't. People may have had a good time. I mean, it's easy to put on a good show when the show was already built for you and the audience was already built for you. All you had to do was stand up there and make sure the performers showed up on time. That isn't that hard. But to sell 420, I mean, I didn't know it was for sale to begin with. It was supposed to be a protest. And you can't buy a protest. You know, things like this matter to me. We got CSU units that hit legacy clubs like Dana Larson, Ted Smith. These are guys that have been through the ringer and back, and if anybody should have, you know, am I showing up on Facebook? Yeah. For some reason, it's just showing me a friggin', it's weird because I don't know. What's that? Because I'm trying to get into the questions, if there is any.
No, there's no questions.
Well, hopefully we get some questions. I'm hoping everybody's having a very a happy holiday season and had a great Christmas and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm certainly not. I'm not here in any way that's stopping me from. Stopping me from trying. Yeah, no, it's coming through on Facebook. Fine. That's stopping me from doing that. I wasn't even going to do today's show. Like I said, we have giveaways set, including a $2,000 light for literally New Year's Day evening, if I can. I'm going to a party that I'm not sure how I'll be the next day, but I'll do my best. But that's, no, honestly, that's when we're set. And the reason I wanted to talk about that as well was to show you guys what we've set up for our giveaways. Which, if people don't understand how it works, then it's kind of hard for me to blame them. So when you go to my website at cannabiscanada.inc, you'll see that you kind of get this here. You just click on Enter Contest. Sign up to win. So what's your name? Well, I'm Jason Wilcox. So next. What's your contact number? Right here. Next. Okay, do you grow your own? In my case, yes. Enter your email. Okay, now here's what I wanted to show you guys. Now, because I've already done this, it's picking up what I've already done before. But as you see here at the top, it says +3 per referral. So you get 3 extra points for every person you refer on Twitter. You have 3 extra points for every person you refer on Facebook. You get 3 extra points for every person you refer on Messenger. Now, the reason I'm showing you these, and again, this is where you earn your extra points, is the referrals, especially your email. If you've got a blast email and you can email 2,000 people, this software will track it. And that's where it's very interesting going through this. And the whole way down, you would see you can earn points here too. For every day, the more days that you enter over the holidays leading up to January 1st, the more chances you have to win. On January 1st, it will not be a number generator that will decide the prize. It will 110% be based on these numbers. And some of y'all might be wondering, well, how are you going to show the numbers? Well, let me just switch off the screen here for a second. And I'll show you guys an idea of our last, just the Christmas Eve, the Christmas night giveaway. It wasn't that many people. There's only about 70 people that entered. But we can tell who did the steps, and we can tell who didn't. We can tell who shared, so we can add up the points. So we know who had the most points. Ironically, the person that actually won with the number generator also had the most points, which was Miss Evelyn Haynes, is how that worked out. So, yeah, let me try and, where am I going to find this? I'm going to find this in my Gmail. Or in my downloads. I guess either one. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great Christmas. And my lips don't match the video. That could be the high CPU usage, to be honest. Is that happening with you? Or you might want to reset your browser, is the other thing.
I never noticed.
Have you been listening or checking?
Yeah.
Then it's probably not there. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, contests, entries, show cutoff. This is it here. Yeah, so just to give you guys an idea, so what I have for tracking, so this is right now, present day, you know.
Oh no, they're right.
There's
I never
people.
paid attention that much, but nah, shit. Oh, hold on. It seems like it's fine. I don't know. Give me a
I just moved this over to get it basically out of the way, so you guys can actually see the, not necessarily see the emails per se. But at the same time, you can see what I mean by the number of people that entered into this, you know, as we scroll down. And as you scroll down, you can see we go right down to 70 people that entered the Christmas Eve giveaway.
good job.
Now the holiday giveaway, now all these people are still entered. This is what I want to show you. Like Evelyn here, you can see she's actually been sharing. Or no, because of, she shared to Albert Looks. And whoever this email is over here, I don't know who this is, but these guys have been all sharing. The column that I'm showing you here, and also here, Evelyn Haynes shared 3 times. Up here, you can see another person shared. And did you do all the steps? There's either a yes or a no beside your name. Some people start it and then say, screw it, I'm not going to do all the steps, and they don't complete it. And it takes about 5 minutes. So I just wanted to show you guys how we track this stuff this year. We're not fucking around. We're giving away $500 gifts. This flour pack alone, well, what do we figure this out to be?
Oh, geez.
Flour and hash?
200-300. It's a nice little price.
Yeah, it's at least $300, $200 or $300, and
It's actually a really sweet.
yeah, and it really when you open a flour pack up like a general one, it's just these. Oops, you'll get it right up,
All these little.
but it's just these little bags, and they're just in each one. Like for instance, Bruce Banner, Gosh, 1 gram, Steve Dog, 1 gram. This is an example of what would be in the flour pack. So it'll be a kick-ass friggin' holiday gift. We wish we could have done the holiday giveaways before the holidays, so people actually got them on the holidays, which is might be something I can think about for next year. But it is what it is. I would like everybody to at least keep your eyes open and pay attention to what's going on around us. These pop-up shows that we do, we're not doing this because we need views or because we need to do a giveaway or anything else. We're doing this because you need this information. You need to know that if you're selling cannabis online or if you're selling it to your friends, you might want to keep it on the down low. You might want to go back to the days of coded pagers, which is just using your pager with codes instead of actual phone numbers. There's ways to get around all this. And there's ways to push back if you're going to continue in the business. But standing straight up, man to man, with the government, I don't suggest unless you're in the court of law and you got some good lawyers like John Conroy. That's just my opinion. So I really feel for everybody. I'm hoping that it's not fucking up too bad on Facebook.
No, me, Evelyn's saying it's good on YouTube, so yeah, no, we're good.
If anybody wants to let me know if there's any sound problems on YouTube, on Facebook, let me know. There's only a few people watching. I mean, we got about 30 people in general.
There's no sound problem.
Huh?
There's no sound problem.
I know. There's always somebody that's going to say that there is, though.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm trying to say to them, reset their browsers sometimes. The biggest thing that happens is we end up staying on the air longer. We've been on the air 41 minutes. We usually stay on the air longer, and then people end up with that sort of problem. Now, on a more positive note, I'm gonna play this police video that I went through. The reason I talk about this is because I've been dealing with Popo now for way too many years. It's been probably a decade of destruction for me. I no longer, I pledge allegiance not to go into fights this year. That's what I said to myself. You know, like, if I'm going to do any New Year's fucking resolutions, I am not going, I'm going to look at seeking profit, not fucking punishment. I'm going to seek profit, not friggin', you know, fighting for rights and liberty is awesome, but there's also a time to get back. You know, do you want to fight or you don't want to make money? And I'm getting tired of living poor and living up in BC housing while people think that I'm living up like a god. You know, there ain't no living up like God.
You're saying he's having problems sharing? Oh, never mind, you figured it out. Okay, I couldn't invite people. I can share it to groups, but I can't individually invite people like I normally can.
We also gave no notice that we were going online. Vicky and I, Vicky knows how close Chad and Tanya were to me, and still are, and I don't care. Any brothers and sisters, even Shrek, who I don't necessarily like and get along with, I still feel for and don't agree with these bullshit laws being applied to him. He has a right to stand up. To change a law, you need to get charged, arrested, and challenge the law. Like Owen Smith did. We wouldn't be sitting here being able to do dabs and extracts if it wasn't for him saying, you know what? Now that I've been vindicated, I'm going to challenge your law. And of course, he had a sharpshooter lawyer like Kurt Tusaw that took it all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada, making it so it's possible for us to dab today. Mm-hmm. No different than every person in Canada can grow 4 plants today because of the Allard trial. If not, there would be no home growing in this country. Period. Buy from an LP or be a moonshiner. And they're trying to make us modern day moonshiners. That's not going to happen. What's the one good thing that came out of the coalition is, even though the leadership disbanded it to protect its legacy and to protect its goodwill, we did that by design. But don't kid yourself if you don't think that the leadership of the coalition is still not connected through the phone and talking to each other on a regular basis about what's going on. And it's not about raising another legal challenge or raising another fight. It's about just knowing that we're still in touch with each other, keeping each other informed, and being alert so that when the right case comes along, for medical dispensaries, for instance, the right case that we can actually get behind, somebody that's younger with a little more energy that can actually take on a 5-year fight, I'll get behind that motherfucker. I'll give him all the knowledge that I can that I've learned from the coalition. Good, bad, or indifferent. But what can be done once can always be done twice. It's not the person, it's the play. We just have to wait for the government to fart sideways so we can catch them. And we can fucking say, you're the stinky motherfucker. And we're gonna fucking put you on trial. And everybody needs to know that I'm a walking example. You can put the government under a restraining order and you can put the government on trial without getting charged. That's what I did. And I'm proud to say that, along with 15,000 of my friends who helped fund it. And of course, the generosity of the government to order the government to pay $780,000 in legal fees to our attorneys, which was a whole nother interesting way things played out. I'm going to play this video here. Now, this is a police video. It's only 5 minutes long, but I want you to pay attention to this because I don't care. I may be stepping back from picking fights with the government, but what I won't stop back from is teaching patients to defend themselves from their medical gardens. If an officer shows up at your door, if they don't have a warrant, They can't step inside your house. If you make the mistake and it's raining out or it's cold out or it's a blizzard out, and that officer says, oh man, do you mind if I step in? It's a little chilly out here. If you let them step in, you give them a warrant. Just understand that. It's a warrantless search, but it's still it amounts to a warrantless search. And it's what they can do. And what you'll see in this video, you'll actually hear me debate it with the officer, and you'll hear the officer even say, it's so we can go through your house and we can look at it and make sure there's no guns and there's no people hiding in your closets. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Now this is the old CSU unit. Before they were called the CSU unit. There was no community safety unit. There was just the green team. Nobody really knew who the green team was, because sometimes it was gang squad with a little bit of police and a little bit of ambulance, a little bit of fucking fire department, you know, a little bit of city engineers. That was the green team. Now called the Canadian, the community safety unit. That's raiding our clubs. I'll take it a step further. I think it's going to go from raiding our clubs to now going to try and do an enforcement like you're going to see in this video. And if y'all are wondering, I was living in Abbotsford at the time, and there was a gang war going on out here between two gangs, and a lot of people getting shot up and robbed. So I fortified my house, and fucking when it comes to gang squad who actually showed up at my door, 4 officers, you know, showed up at my door, you know, big boys. And I covered their faces out of respect because I had to live in that town. I didn't want that one of them pitching a kilo of coke in the back of my car and fucking locking my ass in the penitentiary because my mouth's too big. That's the difference between a fucking weak criminal and somebody that actually knows how to fucking deal with their popo and stop them. And say, look, motherfucker, I know when to shut up. Or I know when to cover your face. And a good activist will know that as well. Picking a fight with the police is never smart. You're never going to win. They're the biggest gang in the country. Anyway, I'm going to play this now. Try to calm myself down, have a couple dabs. When we come back, we'll talk a little more, again, about the game. And I want people to understand this. If you go to CannabisCanadaInc.com, be a Canadian resident, or have a Canadian address that we can mail it to, and they can do whatever they want to get it to you. That's not my business. But as long as you got a Canadian address, do the most steps. Look at the points that you get for doing the steps and do what you feel gives you the best chance to win that $2,000 Kind LED light. A lot of people don't understand. These lights are not cheap. I'm going to look up right now what a Kind LED 1,000 watt. Let's see what they fucking cost here. Alright, so I'll send this over and we'll look at this together. So here's what I pulled up real quick. So right now, the 1,000 watt, now this is what I have here, is this one. So it's dropped way down. It was originally $2,000 last year. It's $1,700 this year. So it's dropped down a lousy $300. I'm going to actually give this away. Now, this is being given away by Green Planet Nutrients and Pacific Northwest Garden Supply and Cannabis in Canada, all in concert together on New Year's Day. And it will be given to the person that follows these steps the right way. I've shown this before. Please follow the steps in the right way. Like if you do this, it's worth it. Go through, do all the steps, do it every day, because then you get more points. Even if it's the same thing, you might notice it changes up from time to time for different sponsors. We'll have, hey, go like Natural Remedy, or go like Green Planet Nutrients. It might change from time to time, but just keep playing the game because your points are being accumulated as I showed you on that other page. So as long as you got your points being accumulated, that's really all that matters. That's the most important thing I would say out of anything. But do this, and when you're done, it'll say up top here, as you see, congratulations, you're in. Then from there, you can come back each day if you want. As I said, collect your points, look at the side points. You get 5 down here for getting comments or hearts on Instagram. So, yeah, the point system is just amazing, and that is how you'll win the $2,000 light. All the other gifts will be the generator, and you still have to do the steps. If you're not on my list, like I showed that list earlier, if you're not on that list, then you can't win. It's that simple. We're not fucking around this year. You see, I learned from last year. Oh, shit.
What's wrong? Oh, you left it's just not your picture yet?
No,
Video, what's going on?
the video was playing.
Oh, shit.
Sorry guys, enjoy the video. See you at the video.
I get lost in what
Fuck.
you're talking about, too. Sorry.
Fuck's sakes.
I get lost in what you're talking about.
Alright. At least I can hear them. Put your headphone in your head so at least you can tell me when the sound fucks up.
I forgot I took my...
Yes, it was yourself. Yeah. And I did say, I'm feeling bad because, I don't want to seem like the bad guy here, but at the same time, you guys are showing up in force. My neighbors right now, God knows what they think, and I have nothing to hide. When all's said and done, I'm hoping that, we can all get along, but, this has been, how many times have you guys been to my house and in my basement?
Well, this is the first time on the public.
And what is your reason for needing to come in the house for safety, aside from needing to
Just
protect them?
making sure everything is to code.
You're police officers.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is by law enforcement.
Okay, so you're coming in to do that. I'm saying, why do you need
If they're
him?
part of our team, they come for our safety.
We only come in for their safety.
No-
So
Nothing's saying
again,
that-
against my request to not have them come in for your safety, you're going to go ahead and tell me that I have to allow these officers into my house without a warrant? Because it amounts to a warrantless search.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
I mean, it amounts to a
No,
warrantless search. That's what it does. I mean,
Yes.
you're asking me to let officers into the house that are then going to want to do a plant count and everything else
Yeah.
for no reason.
No.
Unless we can agree that there's going to be some sort of, not 6 or 7 of these coming in, but rather that your team.
This is the process. One of us would stay out here with you and
That's
all the
fine.
other occupants. 3 of us would go through the house, make sure there's nobody hiding or any weapons.
Yeah,
any
no.
weapons.
No.
You
And
don't
then-
search for
well,
weapons. You
let
guys
me-
can get a warrant if you want to search
Yes,
for
get a
weapons.
warrant.
Let me finish.
No, you
We
won't be
would-
searching my house.
No.
Okay, let me finish explaining the process. 3 of us go through, we make sure that there's nobody hiding in here. We come out, then the inspection team goes in while we stay outside.
There ain't nobody hiding in here, and there ain't
No.
nothing for you to have any probable cause to believe
Yes.
I didn't
Warrant.
say we did.
Well,
We're
then
coming
you're
here
again.
to assist them, and they want us
And
to
I'm
do it.
saying
So-
that my understanding
That's
is
fine.
that there's a legal case that you guys are
That's
not
fine.
allowed in. So I'm saying that
No.
if they would like to come in and if they would like to go down and do their jobs, they're welcome
with
to.
them.
I'll stand at the
Yeah.
door with you, so you know you're safe and that they're safe because I'm with you.
Well, we don't know that
And we
because
don't
we
have
don't
to
know if there's
worry.
anybody else in
Yeah,
the house.
bring me
That's what
down.
that's why they ask us
Has
to
there
come.
been any threat to you guys? And you guys have been to my house 5 times.
Yeah.
And there's
Never
never
been
been a threat to your officers.
No.
Okay,
So-
Jason,
Call's yours.
what we'll do is we'll just get an entry warrant.
That's,
Okay, I mean, it could just be so much easier just to let things roll. So we're not here to stop you from what you're doing, just to make sure the electrical and everything's to code.
I just don't
You know,
understand
10
why
minutes.
all the
This
officers,
is, part
guys.
this is part of our team, Jason. Okay, it's nothing to do with you. This is
Okay,
a
am I
board-
gonna
We-
get
we
this
go to
every year,
places-
guys? Well, I mean, I don't want to. Once this is done, am I gonna get this crap every year?
yeah.
Probably not, but this is the first time our section's been involved. We
Oh,
may have had
there
police
we go.
issues, but it's never been the public safety team. Okay.
Public safety team.
Yeah.
Warrant.
Okay, so
Different cities called it's electrical safety.
the searching
team.
for my house.
We're not
You're
doing
telling me
a
you're
search,
gonna
Jason.
get. No, you just told me you want
Yeah.
to search for people in my home.
Yes.
And that's my
Okay,
problem that I have. I don't want you
Jason,
going through my
we're
closets.
gonna leave, okay? We'll just get the entry warrant. We'll do things the proper way. That's the way you prefer.
No, I'm asking you why it is that your team can't just go in. Why you need to get a
It's
warrant?
city policy. We don't need to get a warrant. You're not allowing us to follow
Because he
city
wants
policy.
to search that. He wants to search my house. That's what he just said to me.
It's been
Yesterday I
recorded.
told you I'd take 2 officers and walk down there, but he's saying he wants to search every house in my room. It's like, to get downstairs, we walk straight down. What the hell's the side bedrooms or anything
Yeah,
else have
what's
to
that
do
got
with
The
anything?
police have ways they follow. They do things too. So it's obviously you can't accept the way we want to do things. We'll just.
Well, we
do
got it all on
entry warrant.
camera, so come on in. Let's go. Bring your guys in. Let's film you guys doing what you're doing, and we'll just see what my lawyers have to say after that, and it'll be a lot easier.
Well, we come in, but you guys stay outside.
No.
No, you
That's
guys
fine.
aren't gonna search my
No.
house.
Oh, fucking way.
That's how we do it. If you don't want that, that's fine.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for your time, Jason.
Thank you. I'll show that to my lawyer. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'm recording.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3,
Three.
4. Come on, I don't hear that for a second. I don't think that's necessary. And you got the top one up top, and the second one here and here.
Yeah, I'm gonna film it.
Jason Wilcox, the real Cannabis in Canada.
We're in the grow room. And we're back in the grow room.
Our plants, our right, our medicine. Cannabis in Canada.
Welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox, the real Cannabis in Canada.
We're in the grow room. And we're back in the grow room.
Our plants, our right, our medicine. Cannabis in Canada.
Hey folks, we're here with my good friend Jason Wilcox.
Yeah.
And we're back in the grow room. And isn't this where it all began? Was in the grow room? Grow room and grow room.
And that's where it all started, was here in the grow room.
And we're back in the grow room. In the grow room.
The grow room.
And we're back in the grow room.
And fuck
No,
that.
you're not. And we're back in the grow room. And Jason, isn't this where it all began? Was the grow room?
Absolutely. This is where it all began. I came in here, my friend and my brother. You know, I came in here in 2012, and I said, "Look, man, they're gonna take away our gardens. They're actually they're gonna do this if we
I
don't."
found that very alarming when you came to me and said they're going to take our right to grow away. And it's like, what can we do? What can we do? Or what did we do?
Well, we raised the money for John Conroy. That was the first 10,000. So I put up the money. Some other people put up some money. Green Planet put up some money. Rainbow Nutrients stepped forward and started putting up some money. Most importantly, Rainbow's wife, Sandra, also was instrumental in working as our secretary and making sure that our paperwork was done right and everything. This is stuff that a lot of people don't necessarily know about, and it's going to come out in the documentary. And so look forward to this in 2020. This kind of a prelim to the documentary, and we will have Rainbow in there. We will have Sandra, who's already been filmed. We still have to film this, man. He's trying to duck it out by dodging in here and making us do these pre-records for you guys. But you know what? It's a badass documentary. You want to know everything that happened and how we got to where we are and why the legalization task force was handcuffed on the issue of whether we can or can't grow in this country. It's because the medical patients in Canada made it constitutionally protected, and that made it possible for everybody to grow 4 plants. And though it's a small start, it's still a start, and it protected the plants. And for that reason, Ramo, I thank you, my friend.
It was my pleasure, Jason. You were the man with the plan. You know what we should do? We should go inside, smoke this huge joint, and talk about this. What do you think?
Let's do it, brother.
Let's go inside. Hey folks, we're here with my good friend Jason
Top
Wilcox.
quality producers of the finest cocoa fiber available on the market out of Humboldt County, California, made out of coconut husk fiber. People can find more at royalgoldcocoa.com or at Green Planet Nutrients.
We got a great product that we're introducing. It's called Bokashi Pro Grow, the fermented fertilizer. Literally a superfood for your soil. Like I said, Green Planet Wholesale is carrying us, so anywhere across Canada, the Green Planet products are sold.
And it's all lights on, no damage, no burning, no residuals. Overgrow, ready to use for small growers, medium-sized growers, or buy the product yourselves, save money, and get more value. Optic foliar, the only lights-on spray. In Canada, we're distributed through Green Planet, and they're sold in all their stores right across Canada.
We're very happy to be a part of the Green Planet Village here. They're our exclusive distributor in Canada, and they've got all their brands around here, so we're really happy to be a part of their team, and the show has been fantastic so far. You can find out more at growstrongindustries.com.
We are top quality producers of the finest cocoa fiber available on the market out of Humboldt County, California, made out of coconut husk fiber. People can find more at royalgoldcocoa.com or at Green Planet Nutrients.
We got a great product that we're introducing. It's called Bokashi Pro Grow, the fermented fertilizer. Literally a superfood for your soil. Like I say, Green Planet wholesale is carrying us, so anywhere across Canada, Green Planet products are sold.
And it's all lights on, no damage, no burning, no...
All right, welcome back, guys. Jumping all over the place, as you can see, very much so an improv show, improv video. We just popped on and decided to grab you guys and talk a bit about it. And without knowing all the details, of course, we do not know the particulars. If I worked with the police, I might know the particulars. Or if I was closer with Chad still in our communications, I would know more, of course. But at the same time, I'm sure some particulars need to be kept safe for good reason. Coming from a source like Corey, that was Corey that I've known for quite a few years, and he would know his own he would know he would know what's going on with Chad more than I would. So if he's saying that there was, I guess that money was at Chad's location. I thought it was actually somewhere else, but it would make sense if you have an agreement with the province and you got a big safe and you feel that your location's safe. I think that's that's really shady once again on the government's part. You know, city council leads you to believe one thing, and then the federal government comes in and says, but the law states this. Or the provincial government comes in and says, but the law states this, under civil forfeiture, which again, I believe it's provincial law. I don't believe it's municipal law. It's definitely provincial. And that's the thing. The municipal law said, Chad, you're okay. You got an application in for the province. But that doesn't necessarily mean the civil forfeiture people didn't say they're still making money illegally. You're in the process of getting a license doesn't mean you can start selling before you get the license. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. That's what they're going to say. Until you have a license and permission to sell, you shouldn't have been selling, or it's proceeds of crime. And it's unfortunate that they're doing this to him. My issue is only with Chad. I mean, there's a war. I said this. I've been saying this since 2012. There's a war going on in this country, and not enough people have recognized it until now. But this is they've upped the ante now, because it's no longer people just getting raided or losing your stuff or getting an injunction put on your door. That's not happening anymore. No, now they've upped the ante. Now they're actually fucking taking people's homes and their cars and destroying their lives. I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out. I can only hope for the best. But I think that it's a good example for all of us in Canada to say, look, if this can happen to a dispensary in BC, it can happen to a dispensary anywhere. And it wasn't a downtown Maine, Vancouver dispensary where there's been a quasi-war going on for some time, like Mr. Larson and Mr. David Malmavine are involved in. You know, that's not the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is somewhere just over on the other side of the bridge and halfway up the mountain, you know, up in Squamish. Completely different. And it's how much information they know too that bothered me about that case. And I'm not sure how they got that much information, how they knew so much about Liberty Farms. Unless you really look around the internet and see what's out there, you know, it gets kind of crazy. Because yeah, there was a lot of time and effort put into Chad. And I'm thinking that when I look at something like this, I just Googled his name, and you kind of get something like this. And it's the thing is, they show Liberty Farms, cannabis growers, while they're talking all about them the whole time. Our very own Chad Jacket of Liberty Farms and the cannabis growers. Chad Jacket, construction, LinkedIn. Chad Jacket, Twitter. Tag Chad Jacket Archives. Chad Jacket about cannabis growers in Canada. Grassroots Medicinal, BC, rated by CSU, which we already talked about. And Chad Jacket being arrested. Search name, select state, if you want to go through that route. Verify that the person is actually been arrested. These are things, again, you look at how much is here, and you wonder how do they build their case on whether you were selling cannabis from your personal grow to the building. I still don't know how they got that information, because as much as you look on the internet, there's really nothing there to connect the dots, unless it was a disgruntled former employee, or somebody was just being too liberal with the information. It's possible to be too liberal with the information, and then somehow, just having an agreement with city band council or city council that never ever guaranteed anybody a license at all. That's controlled by the federal government of Canada. That's why I don't understand why people think the municipality matters when they don't. They don't issue the licenses, they issue a business license. You need to have a to do business with agreement with the licensed producer as a microbrewery or something, or a dispensary working under the guise of the Cannabis Act of Canada, not under the guise of whatever you want to do until you fucking actually get a license. That's all I'm saying. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's ugly. It's ugly for Canada, it's not right, and it's showing us what, it made it very easy for them to go on there, get pictures of Chad, link Chad to Liberty Farms, but I'm wondering how are they linking this, in my own opinion, malarkey, that somehow the cannabis in Chad's store is the same cannabis that was on his property. I think they would need to prove that to seize his property. I don't know. I don't know enough about the law. I don't know why they had that much money in there, but it's certainly not going to look good in front of any judge while you have $800,000 in cash sitting around. I don't know if they were paying their taxes. I'm hoping they were. But if they weren't paying their taxes, which is what's in the newspaper, well, that's tax evasion in America. Here it's failure to pay your taxes. At the end of the day, they both carry a jail penalty. So when we look at the stacked charges, there's like 3 different charges there, and if even just one of them stick, it could be a potential, bit in the pen, at least 2 years less a day, or 2 years plus a day, at least just to put you in the pen. That might be better because you get out after 1/3 of your time instead of 2/3 of your time if you do provincial time. But you got to weigh that out once you get to conviction stage of your criminal proceedings, if you ever get there, and hopefully you don't have to. But wow. And what bothers me too is I have so many other friends that are directly involved with the dispensary game in Ontario, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, here in BC. There's so many people still holding it down for the underground that I get it. This is going to shake everybody to the core. And it should. It's what they want. It would shake us all to the core 100%. And not because we're fear of law or fear of right or wrongdoing, but just who wants to fight? I don't know. I stop and I think about any of this. And now Reg, it's different. He was raided. He decided to reopen. He was told to shut down by injunction. He decided to tear it off and cut the chain off the door and reopen or something. He's funny the way he takes shit serious going about his dispensary, but at the same time, he got raided. And all this money, and eventually this stuff's going to catch up with people in the court of law, and the court of law may not be so forgiving on dispensary owners like they were in the past. Now, when there was 58 clubs in the Lower Mainland, It was a lot easier for people to get off on raids. Their staff were just cut loose, and usually the owners were just given probation. Not anymore. I don't know if y'all remember, but when we legalized, the laws changed too. They became 10 times more strict, and they're written up in the Cannabis Act of Canada. You should have a good look at them and understand what it is that you're doing if you're going to continue in the dispensary game. So that you don't go home to your wife and have to tell her how you just lost your $1 million home or your $500,000 home, whatever the case is. And I'm hoping to God that isn't the end game for Chad. And I'm sure he's a fighter. If anybody's going to fight, it's going to be Chad. And if anybody's going to stand their ground, and they've probably reopened. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they did. But when the police say we seized all this money, you're not getting that money back. Don't matter if you reopen. All you're doing is solidifying their case that you're against the government's position, which might be the right thing to do because you're providing a community service and you're standing your position. Now, a charge is much better than civil forfeiture. If there's a charge, then allow him to have his day in court and allow him to present that medical patients of his region needed to have that service. If that service wasn't available or wasn't needed, well, then so be it. It wasn't needed. But that's something for a judge to decide. Not city council, not the RCMP, and not this CSU units and these other people that have been doing all what they have. It's kind of crazy. Thanks for tuning in, Papa G. Yeah, today we didn't really focus at all on growing. I just wanted to pop on and do that. It feels wrong if I didn't. And it bothers me even more. And again, I can only hope that everybody that's watching is paying attention and that we see a big backing for Chad through big rich companies like Cannabis Life Network and Jade Maple that help build out Chad, help make him who he is. If you're going to be that big badass that's going to make somebody who they are, blow them up, you better be there to back them up. That's always been my opinion. You can't blow them up if you ain't going to back them up. You can't take all their money and then when push comes to shove, you just run out the other way. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As you can see, there's no love lost between me and CLN, so that's not undisputed. Just for the record.
Me either.
But Corey, if you're still on there, I don't see you posting.
On the show, I know I posted up.
Yeah, I don't see you posting, Corey. But if you were still on the show, I tried to get a hold of you on Facebook as well, just to see if you could update me a little better. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Oh, perfect. I'm on Facebook. Are you guys on YouTube?
Okay, what's that, guys? Let me get an update for us here and see what we can get. Live and improv. There you go. Like, I'm just going to do a dab while I'm waiting on this update. But at least I can get a proper update that is sound and comes from a legitimate source. And if I can't trust the source, I won't report on it. I got to trust the source. And in this case, this is somebody I would have sleep in my house and not have a worry in the world about whether my shit was okay or not. So that's what I mean by a credible source. Somebody you know, you've been doing this for a while, been doing this in the business for a while, and they're not messing around. You know, and without giving too much information, we want to give accurate information, and I don't want to be misaccurate. The newspapers are the worst for this. They get away with it. You know, all this money laundering stuff and that. There may not have even been charges laid. I don't know. I am only going by what the newspaper says. And of course, you got to remember, when I say it's going to make a lot of people nervous, it's because they're going to go through all their books, and it depends on how meticulous they were about bookkeeping versus not bookkeeping. My guess was they were trying to become legal. They would have been keeping really good books. Now those really good books are going to keep the names of the growers and everybody else potentially and contact numbers. And if that's the case, that's a scary fucking thought for a lot of people. You know, and there's stuff like that people look at and they're like, this is what's making us nervous. And it happens every time there's a raid. It's never not happened. And most importantly, open up the next day, because there's a dispensary case that needs to move forward, a medical dispensary case. I believe Chad stayed medical. I don't know 100%. I never attended his facility to know that whether he serves recreational or whether he only serves medical. And if he's only medical, then he makes a perfect landmark case for maybe John Conroy or Jack Lloyd or somebody to pick up and make a constitutional challenge for medical dispensaries. Or join on to the Dana Larson one if that's still going on. I don't know anymore what's going on with the dispensary cases because I don't own a dispensary. Corey's still getting back to me, so I was going to let him update me. That way I can properly update you guys. It'll be a lot easier. You know, there's what the newspaper says, but then there's the truth. And that's the problem, is that, you know, and I would understand that if I had a licensing and the city council told me, don't worry, Mr. Wilcox, you're cool. I think my money was safest at that location, you know. Actually, knowing me, I wouldn't even trust it then. I'd probably have it buried somewhere. But yeah, no, I reported that part. So Corey's updated me on something that's important for people to understand where they're getting. And I talked about this in the first part of the show, but in the article, and I'll pull it back up here in a sec. In the article, it talks about proceeds of crime, but what they're doing is they're connecting Chad's personal farm, which is worth 1.93 million for the two properties combined. Was in the article. So, okay, smell. So yeah, no, it's back to the main thing that people understand, that the proceeds of crime part. They're going after the houses, and when I say the houses, I mean there's a farm, then there's a house, and anything that's in the jacket's name. And I'll go back to who filed the complaint with, you know, the enforcement people that are doing this. Like, there's somebody had to file the complaint. I'm just trying to pull the news article up here. One sec. Okay, so here's the news article. Province seeks millions in properties, cash tied to illegal pot shops. When we get down to the jacket section, okay, so in June, the Jackets were warned about potential enforcement for the unlawful sale of marijuana, according to the civil forfeiture claim. So if you're already warned, like, look, man, we're going to take your house, we're going to take everything, that's wrong. You know, it's very, very unfortunate, and the value is even more staggering. To be quite honest, I think the value is up here somewhere. Yeah, a pair. This is what Corey also wanted me to make sure I got out. Is that it's a pair of houses, so it's a farm and a house. I know it's a farm and a house. It's basically at the same address in two different addresses, but it's very big. It's a plot of land. It's worth 1.93 million for Squamish and Pemberton for both the locations. So. How that works, I don't know. Maybe there's a divider line right there. But at the same time, And it also says that there was $830,000 in cash seized in the shop in Squamish. So this $830,000 was what also had me confused when I was talking with Corey to try to figure that out. So you guys can see where the confusion gets in very easy. And Corey was able to straighten some of that out. But it is what we already covered. It's in the article here that's what they're doing. They're going after these particular things. They've already seized the cash. That's almost $1 million seized. So as safe as they thought it was, you know, unfortunately it's not, and it's now in the hands of the police until this is settled through the court of law. That's what's going to change everything. And I'm hoping everybody can see it, that it is what it is. Corey's saying that as far as he knows, that somebody else thought that the injunction with the Board of Variance for the province of BC and won the right to continue to distribute from the storefronts. We actually lost that particular constitutional or not constitutional challenge, but we lost that particular Board of Variance challenge for the large portion of dispensaries. Unfortunately, Mr. Conroy came in too late, and Mr. Robert Laurie started it a little bit early, and it wasn't. It could have been handled in a different way. So let me just get back to the screen here. Sorry, guys. I just wanted to show some of that so you understand what I'm talking about here. We're backing up what we're saying as I'm reading Corey's comments. Yeah, see, there was somebody that was a store person, a store owner, whatever. They thought that the Board of Variance, so someone didn't update them properly legally. They didn't have a lawyer that updated them to let them know that the Board of Variance were lost, and was not gonna, you know, was not gonna proceed. Now, Mr. John W. Conroy QC was going to seek a federal injunction and go through federal courts, which he said we should have all along, and he didn't. Or he's done it quietly for a couple dispensaries, I don't know, but I think that'd be the one that he should get in on. And yeah, so clearly their store was misinformed, but that ain't gonna matter to the courts because it's all based on, you know, misinforming one another. That, you know, just because my friend comes over and tells me it's okay to go shoot my guns outside if I want, well, it doesn't mean I can go outside and start shooting guns in downtown Vancouver. It just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So it's sort of that thing. It's that thought process you got to go through. You know, that it's not that easy. My understanding is that a lot of the cash that was seized was Reg, but I don't know why Reg's money was sitting in Squamish. That would be the question, because unless this article's got it wrong, it says that the article officer seeks to seize a pair of properties in the Squamish and Pemberton areas valued at $1.93 million. So almost $2 million in properties and more than $830,000. Okay, yeah, cash seized in marijuana shops. So basically, like I said, I don't think my friend Chad would actually store that much money on any one site. Most of that was stored in Reg's site, and he's going to be accountable to himself or whoever for that money. So that's something else to keep in mind. And there's a lot of people. I mean, right now, I'm sure Dana Larson. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at, oh my God, well, you know, CSU hit us. CSU just hit Ted. Ted's been hit by the federal government before in the past, you know, over tax evasion, not paying his taxes, and he had to pay a lot back. So, you know, he's been down this path. This isn't new. This is more for us to get tuned in on and get focused on. Yeah, so I was just looking at dimensions of this light. So, anyway, once again, I'm going to show here, just as we branch off here for a second. This is the light. Again, you need to go to cannabisincanadainc.com, click on contest, and follow all the rules. And do it as many times as you want throughout the day to gather your points, because your points will be collected, and it's all computer generated. Just use the link that's provided in the post. There's a link provided in the post. That link is a tracking link, and it will allow us to track everything that you do. Don't just go to the website alone. You can use the link that's right in the post of this video. There's a link there. Click on that. You'll see it's a little short link, but it'll allow us to track what you're doing when you're sharing stuff. If not, you're going to lose your own points even though you're sharing. I don't want to see that happen. Anyway, it'll be a kind LED. It's worth $1,788 plus tax, so over a $2,000 light. Here's some of the specs. I often tell people, you know, this is what bugs me the most. People are like, man, I grow with LED because it's less electricity. What does this say? HID wattage equivalent to 1,000 watts. While HID is high intensity discharge lamp, which is metal halide or high pressure sodium. So if you got a 1,000 watt high pressure sodium or metal halide, it's going to pull just as much electricity as this 1,000 watt LED. Just so you guys understand, you're not saving any electricity by going LED. What you're doing is you're converting over to a different type of lighting that's a little more safer, it doesn't get hot, and is not going to likely to burn shit down. That's the reality.
Very true.
So you can look up the kind LED K5 series, extra large, indoor LED grow light. And it's a K5 series, so there's of course a newer series out this year. This was a leftover gift last year that went out and came back to me, and I had to pay a lot of money to get it back, but because of all the shipping costs. But either way, it was well worth it, and as you can see, it dials itself in. It has its own converter, and you can change the diodes actually on each one of the lights. And you know, to each their own. I sampled it, I tried it. You know, it was a light that when it came back, it was like, why not? Let's give it a sample. So we filmed a couple videos with it. It wasn't super impressive for me. I'd rather stick to using my HIDs, and that's just me, or my King LED I really like. But either way, kind LED, this is it. We're gonna have some other LED. I've got a couple companies that have talked with me recently, and they're interested in getting their LED lights profiled. And the reason I'm doing this is once again for Green Planet Nutrients, Pacific Northwest Garden Supply, and Cannabis in Canada in concert together to make somebody's New Year's a very, very happy New Year's if they're an indoor grower. Getting a light like this is not an easy thing. Most people don't have $2,000, and if they did, they certainly wouldn't throw it at one light. They could get 5 lights for the same price if they just bought HIDs. And again, you don't save any electricity. I just want that to be understood. My understanding is that what the police did seize at Grassroots was $40,000 in product. You know, is an amount that was seized out of there. And that's additional information I'm being given. So when you have that kind of stuff going on, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, $40K in product at the Grassroots store, and again, that's what they took, and they shut it down. Do you know if they opened back up, Corey? I know you haven't been able to get a hold of Chad. I couldn't call Chad. I couldn't get him on the phone. I don't know if they just opened back up or if they've been shut down completely. I don't know what's going on. I've gotten news of this last night. I talked with Vicky about doing a show this morning. No, they're not opening. But development of variance permit is what they were given by the Board of Variance of Squamish. So it looks like the Board of Variance, the city, who's ultra vires in their constitutional powers to overreach the province.
Yeah.
You know, in their constitutional powers to uphold the actual the laws for proceeds of crime. So what's happened here, it looks like the city has said, hey, go ahead, you can have a business, just like in Vancouver, Board of Variance. You can have a business. It doesn't say you can sell weed anywhere. I can assure you that, Corey. If you read through there, nowhere does it say you can sell marijuana as part of this. It says you can run a business until such time as you get a further license. And I understand that. That was what the Board of Variance case was over here, until they had a final decision in what they were going to do. But the BC Supreme Court has already spoke in the Board of Variance Vancouver decision, which I would imagine applies to all of BC, and is superior. So they would just introduce it into that court, and it would crush it. But at the same time, the civil forfeiture laws that are already in place by the provincial government would supersede the municipal council. So municipal council, provincial government, it's that simple. And it's unfortunate that they've done this, because they've actually used everything they could use. I'm wondering how they get somebody that much information, because I read that article and I'm like, there's too much information in this one article, one news article, too much information to suggest that there's a connection. Most newspapers won't put their neck on the line like that and make a suggestion that there's a connection between a person's farm and a dispensary and get their house taken. But Chad was already warned. Somebody told him, you've been reported, and we're going to seize your property for proceeds of crime if you continue to do what you're doing. That's in the newspaper clip. He was warned. So if you're already warned and you choose to keep doing it, you know, then these are the ramifications that could happen. None of us seen civil forfeiture happening, and I think that to prove that beyond a newspaper, but actually in the court of law, to prove that connection between his farm and his dispensary, over and above where he lived and where he slept and where he took a shit, you know, honestly, it'd be very hard to prove how the cannabis got from his farm to their dispensary unless somebody on the inside is already talking. Just my opinion, man. Or somebody infiltrated them. Or somebody dropped a dime on them. Maybe a disgruntled employee, like I said at the beginning of the show. It could be a simple disgruntled employee. And again, this was another CSU unit. Raid, no different than again, this is BC wide now, so CSU units. I know a lot of the smaller dispensaries think you're safe up in the mountains, but you're not. They're simply wiping out the city first and then moving upwards. They got to clear out Tourist Town, make room for the LP dispensaries, because they're crying wolf over Allard and RV Smith. See, this is what's funny. Five RCMP and community safety unit members entered dispensaries. The distinct Squamish said RCMP were present to maintain public safety. Well, now remember, they were there to maintain public safety, so why did they seize all the money and drugs? Anyway, while the CSU members executed their duties, Squamish RCMP referred all questions to the CSU. Members of the CSU removed boxes of product from both locations. Colin Haynes, speaking on behalf of the unit, confirmed the CSU closed both businesses. Haynes told the chief of the province has taken action or conducted educational visits at 191 stores in BC to date, including in Squamish. So right there, Haynes, the officer, is saying, look, the chief said he already spoke to the province. So I'm talking about the powers of law, the ultra vires, the constitutional reaches of the law. Municipal council only has so much reach. But when they start trying to reach over the provincial government or the federal government's territory, they're likely going to get a clap back like they got. And I think that's what we're seeing here, and it's very unfortunate. Or the jackets were set up that way, and that's also very unfortunate. Very dirty play. Somebody reported them. Remember, it's in the newspaper. Somebody reported them to civil forfeitures. Not to CSU. CSU, Community Safety Unit, that's just them coming in to shut them down. But nobody reported them to civil forfeiture. Somebody else did. Who reported them to civil forfeiture? Somebody had to. And that might have started the investigation. And maybe that's how they figured things out. Maybe they had somebody watching them. I don't know. All this will come out over time. But what's been reported in the newspaper, as I'm sitting here reading it and trying to talk at the same time, So I'm continuing just to kind of read through this as fast as I can. I wish I could go through it with you guys, but I can only read so much when I'm this medicated, and I still got to go for a workout. But so basically, again, this is another example of where the small guy has applied for a license, just said, I want to be a federal dispensary. That's what I want to become. That's what I want to do. Or, you know, or a medical dispensary for my community. And he applied, he paid the money, he applied for the licenses to do what he was supposed to do. Now his band council, who he thought he needed to go through the proper chain of command. Of course, naturally it would be go to band council, or sorry, go to city council first, and then go to your provincial government next. Not realizing that such laws as civil forfeiture were hanging over your head as a provincial law that counters any municipal agreements. Just like every federal law counters any provincial agreements. Not one of them override the federal law. And no federal law overrides the Constitution of Canada, nor the Charter of Rights and Freedoms as part of. Know the separations of power, and you will know your power of law and your power of freedom and liberty and where it stands. I hope everybody is having a wonderful holiday season. It has been a long show. We are closing in. I got on 20 minutes to go, I guess. Is there anything else that I'm missing here? I'm trying to check some of these comments. I want to close out on a positive because I want you guys to be ready for the giveaway show on New Year's afternoon about 4:20. You'll see me come on. I might be a little still high from mushrooms from the night before, but it is what it is. I can't say any more than that. It's one of those things. But we will be giving out the $500 prize or the $300 to $400 prize pack. I'm not even sure what this is worth because I don't know what's in it. You know, I didn't get a guesstimated price. I don't want to bother them. They're on holidays. But anyway, TNR hash sampler and again, TNR flower pack. So you kind of got one of each. So you get 2 envelopes like this, and in each one's going to be hash. Motherfucking awesome. Yeah. And then one's going to be nothing but a bunch of flour. But like 14 grams of flour or so, or whatever it is that they have. You have to go on their site and see what it is that they have for total flour control. But that will be given out as well. The $2,000 light will be given out. And congratulations to Evelyn Haynes for the high voltage win. She won all cartridges, and I hope she posts a picture so you guys see what I mean, like a la carte, like all the cartridges that are used for their pens, all the different flavors that are promoted on their website it was won by Evelyn. And she also, ironically, when I told you guys, like based on the points, that's how the New Year's Day giveaways, they'll be based on who's done the most activity. 1 or 2 might be given away by using the generator, just so that people that just tuned in can actually play at least 1 or 2 games. But for the main gifts, that $2,000 light, there's no way I'm giving that away, and you're gonna have to pay for the shipping and handling if you're interested. So don't play if you don't want to pay for the shipping and handling, because I'll show you that it works and shit. Last year I got stuck with like an $800 shipping bill from all the 12 gifts, large lights. Like we gave about 4 lights away. That one came back to me because the person didn't want to pay the shipping bill. I guess the shipping bill was a lot. So it is what it is. But you know what? That light can be shipped anywhere in the world. It's more up to the person. But it's a $2,000 light. So if the shipping bill is $40 or even $100, you know, it's 10% of what the light would have costed you. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I'm willing to fire it up and show you guys a video of it working no problem. Well, who is it? Cheers to cannabis growers. Yep, 100%. Constitution is a solution. The Constitution has always been the solution, 100%. Well said. I like that saying, actually. You know, what can I tell you? If it wasn't for the Constitution, we wouldn't be here now. If it wasn't for medical patients standing up and saying, hey, no way, we're allowed to grow our plants. No, we're allowed to use extracts. No, we're allowed to do this. We're allowed to do that. And smoking in public and doing all this stuff that everybody else did to fight for legalization. Only medical patients did it on a daily because it was their medicine. And through 16 constitutional challenges over the span of like 20 years, we were able to overturn the laws to finally allow mandatory legalization with growing for everybody, and for medical patients to be left alone and to maintain under the same guise that we're under. It does not mean that the federal government can't change. They could easily actually change the Cannabis Act of Canada next year in the amendments. They said they got sweeping amendments coming in January. Now, like I said, my understanding is from the whispers that we get in government that they're not going to mess with the medical program or the plant counts, that they're more worried about getting the other stuff dealt with. And like I said, like right now, everybody that's running these online stores, there's a few people that are really cocky. They're on Facebook, they're on, LinkedIn, they're on all kinds of places talking about how many sales they're getting and how much they're doing. And I'm thinking, do you guys even realize how much, literally evidence you're building against yourself, for the police just to come and raid you? It's not even hard. It's like you built the case for them by talking. So you guys got to slow down on what you're doing, because it's not just a free-for-all out here. There is a war going on in this country. There's 300 corporations that want to control supply and distribution of cannabis. And then there's the medical patients and the rest of us that can grow 4 plants, that choose to grow it for ourselves. And if you can't grow 4 plants and get a pound of weed, well, then there's a problem. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to do that. So, that's something to think about. And that's something that we mainly focus on. And in 2020, my primal focus will be getting as many people growing in tents as possible and living a healthier lifestyle, incorporating cannabis into everything you do, including working out, it just depends on what it is that you want to do. Whether it's working out, whether it's going to the pool, whether it's hanging out with the dog, whatever it is that you do for your chill time, it's a way to incorporate it. And also looking at your diet, is there a way to incorporate your diet? Because I have to admit, at the age of 46, I'm feeling better than I did at the age of probably 36, because I was just so toxified from, my lifestyle that, I was just like, wow, way too much beer, way too much drinking, way too many bars, just not cool. And it's paid its price. But now I'm feeling better and back in the gym, and it comes down to living a better lifestyle, better quality of life. And I think for a lot of us, I care a lot about the medical patients of Canada. That's honestly who I care about. And as long as they're being looked after, then I feel comfortable, and Mr. Conroy has assured me as well that they're going to be looked after. No, 4 is not enough. Nobody ever said it was. Again, as a medical patient, I'm allowed to grow 450, so to each their own. What I've always suggested since 2012 is that y'all get up off your asses, punch in fucking Health Canada, cannabis, download the form, fill the motherfucker out, go see your doctor, and ask for a 5-gram license. It gives you 25 plants. Why take 4? Anybody want to tell me why take 4? Is it that the application that's only 15 pages too much for you to do? Nobody needs to do it for you. Don't need a lawyer, don't need anything. You just need 1 page to be signed by a doctor. And if he gives you 20 grams, well shit, that's 98 plants. Don't ask me how they get their math. I don't know.
I don't think they do.
I don't even know if they know how they get their math. But you want the real, that's the real. You want to grow a lot of plants? Get a medical license. I told you, you can walk in and say, ow, I got a sore back. Doctor's not going to argue with you. Can't prove it, cannot prove it. I got a sore back, I got injured when I was in sports. Cannabis helps. Okay. There's your prescription. It's an authorization, it's not even a prescription. It's an authorization by your doctor. It's like the doctor authorizing you to play sports again after an injury. It's authorization. It's not prescription. They can't prescribe till they have a DIN number. And my God, once they have a DIN number, they're going to have insurance companies and everybody else all up in our shit and trying to mess with us. And that's going to really bother me and a lot of other people going down the road. Because, again, they're doing a disservice when rather than research this plant like they should be researching it and looking into what more values are there to the cannabinoid spectrum, to the endogenous system. You know, when all 113 phytocannabinoids are used in concert together with certain strains, some strains from different parts of the world. I mean, they come from all around the world. And now that we use ruderalis to get CBD out of our autoflowers, well, shit, there's all kinds of plants because ruderalis even grows in Canada. You can get it over on Tuxedo Island. You can get it on Vancouver Island. The fact that it grows wild tells you a lot. A plant was meant for humans to consume. It was hidden from us so that the pharmaceutical industry could actually pull itself ahead, in my own opinion. But again, we all have our opinions. So we're just closing out the show, guys. A little bit of time left. I wanted to make sure that everybody at least got the message that these people are active. If you look at who they've hit, between Ted Smith, Dana Larson, Chad Jacket, you know, all these different dispensaries that they're shutting down, you know, they're only shutting them down. Within 2 weeks, you'll see a new one pop up, and it's one that's a licensed producer one. So all this board of variance stuff and all this stuff the city says that they can do for you, I want you all to remember they're ultra vires in their constitutional powers. A municipal government cannot overturn provincial regulations. Just like provincial regulations cannot overturn federal regulations. And for Christ's sakes, nothing supersedes the Constitution of Canada. So under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, your right to liberty is upheld. Nothing supersedes that. Nothing can overturn that, and nothing can undermine that. Or it's a constitutional infringement in and of itself. Separations of power is what matters, and the fact that they're not being adhered to. Like in the Jackets case, if they had a license from the city and they were just simply waiting for an answer and they were willing to shut down if they had to, well, then they were set up. The provincial government just waited for that. They were warned. Well, they were warned that there's a civil forfeiture coming for you. And now a civil forfeiture came and took their shit. That's really, really bad. And it's really, really sad. And I'm hoping the best, honestly, for Chad and for Tanya. I mean, they just had a baby. I just seen them at Redbeard's, you know, when I was up there, and it was so good to finally, you know, shake hands and you know, there's been a lot of legalizations brought about a lot of change with people and a lot of different things. But one thing it doesn't do is destroy friendships when you're truly friends. So for people to understand that a general farmer, a basic farmer that was listening to a bunch of rich people tell him what to do doesn't make him a criminal. A man that feels that he's doing a community service and he's healing people, you know, he's not a dealer, he's a healer. A guy that has that perception should not have his house and everything taken even having a trial, if that's what they're seeking to do. It'll scare the shit out of everybody in Canada. That'll be their exact intent. You know, it's scary times for I think everybody, and I think everybody needs to pay attention in Canada. Yeah, there's definitely something that's not right. I mean, again, I believe that there's nothing more than ultra vires. There's constitutional powers. I believe that the Board of Variance, whatever they were trying to say they had the constitutional power to do or not do, they could not give the permission to sell marijuana. I don't know why this is so confusing. I don't know when anybody ever seen that the Board of Variance says that you can sell cannabis. The Board of Variance was all about having a license and being a certain distance apart so that when we legalized, you could transition into that market. Now, of course, these capitalists that came in with all their monopoly and they worked with the federal government in a conspiracy-like manner, you know, to implement their version of legalization, Reefer Madness 2.0, here we are. Our brothers and sisters are going to jail under falsified laws. We can only grow 4 plants. Best of all, though, is that if it wasn't for R.V. Smith and the Allard trial, we wouldn't have cut the legs off of Goliath. Goliath would still be stomping all over this country and all over this culture. But instead, we cut their legs in half because we still got the plants, we can still breed them, we can still grow our own, and we certainly don't need them. We don't need their cannabis, and we don't need their lies. And the sooner they start working with we the people, a free and democratic people, in a Commonwealth country, you know, a former Commonwealth, but in a free and democratic country where liberty has been upheld 16 times through our Constitution for cannabis. And the Supreme Court of Canada has said don't ever bring another case for cannabis in front of us unless it has some substance. So what we're talking about here is the political arm going up against the judicial arm in a quasi-war in Canada. Meanwhile, you got corporations fighting with the underground, the basic people, the free people who shouldn't have to fight, but we do. We're fighting to try to fucking stay afloat. And meanwhile, people are getting hit and they're getting raided. And it's the holiday season. But that's when the government's right. You gotta remember, I launched a coalition in November of 2012. And I remember spending all of Christmas making phone calls and building out the network that was necessary to actually take on the federal government. And if you want to be that person, it takes a lot of work. And we have to remember that. We have to make sure that we understand that. And it's an important part. I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, yeah, well, then do it. Stop talking about it. You know, it bothers me. I'm hoping that this is an opportunity with this case that the Jackets could move forward a medical dispensary argument. I'm not sure how they ran their dispensary. I'm assuming they ran it like a medical dispensary. And that would have been the smartest way to run it. So but yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at some of the comments here before I close out. I only got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to do a dab to close out the show. Hopefully you guys are having a happy holiday season. Remember, go to this site, please. I will go through this with you guys one more time while I do my dab. There. Go to this site and do all these steps. This is the cannabisincanadainc.com. You'll see it up top here. And if you want to write out the full link, it'll take you right into the competition. But it's easiest, best just to follow the link that's in the write-up of each show, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or, well, if you're listening on SoundCloud, it's in the write-up. So you'll see it there as well. And you'll see each of these, you can score points. So it only makes sense. Like if you can get any hearts or comments on Instagram, I mean, shit, 5 points, that's a lot. It's going to put you in a leaderboard. And whoever has the most points on New Year's Day is going to win that light, you know, provided that you're on the show. So I hope that you tune in and you make sure you're there, 4:20 sharp, you know, provided we don't have any technical glitches, which we've been known to have from time to time. And of course, our shows last a couple hours, so it gives people lots of time to get on there. For today's message, go home, give your kids a kiss, especially if you work in this industry like I do and like others do. Give your kids a kiss, give your family a kiss, spend some time with your loved ones, and remember how short life can be, because you can be in Tent City like that under these new laws and these new regulations. And they're setting precedents with people that got us here, the legacy people. And they're turning healers into dealers. And I think on that note, I don't know what else I have to say. I mean, I got 6 minutes left here, but I don't know what else I have to say, because I'm so lost for words. I wish I was a lawyer. I wish I could give some sort of advice, but I don't have any words that I could give Chad or Tanya, who honestly, my heart and Vicky's heart, we goes out to both of you and the baby. You know, honestly, however this plays out for you guys, and I really hope that your friends at CLN help you out and really fund a nice solid challenge, regardless of how much money they've taken from you or how much money they've taken from wherever. You know, the newspaper does never get things right, so it doesn't mean, you know, what's written in the newspaper is 100% true. So bring your microphone, pick up everything. All right, we're closing out here. 5 minutes, man. Time just crawls when you're trying to speed it up. It just seems to crawl down. But we're closing out here in the last 4 minutes. And once again, get on to CannabisCanadaInc.com. Big shout out to High Voltage for the big the big gift. You'll see a lot of the shares and stuff. Again, they're going to change over to different sponsors that we work with for the different gifts, and as they do, you'll see at the top the banner will change. Oh man, that dab killed me. All right. Hey Justin, thanks for coming on, brother. We got a lot of people on YouTube. We don't tend to. I think I'm going to stop the feeds to Facebook, and just so we can get everybody in one place. But anyway, Sunday night we shall see everybody 420 or Sunday night. What's New Year's Day?
Wednesday?
Next Wednesday? Anybody know when New Year's is? I guess nobody knows. All right. Oh, I see. These things, comments aren't rolling out. Yes, definitely. Thanks to all the show sponsors, and they're always listed.
My calendar, everything's changed. On
Next Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, next Wednesday, 4:20 sharp will be our Pacific Standard Time. Will be our primary giveaway, where we'll give away another $3,000 in hash, flower, grow lights, and who knows what else. I might even have. I found a couple of enhancers that I don't need because I always refill my bottle. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But you know what? I love y'all. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, blessed up holiday season. And remember, after what I heard today, if you work in this industry, you know, and you're part of this quasi-war that's unnecessary, where the corporations have to fight we the people, the free and democratic people of this country that elected these officials, you know, that allow these corporations to come in as aggressively as they has. It's forced us into a corner to be modern day moonshiners and to risk losing our houses, our cars, our kids. Those are the tools they're using against us. I think it's time we start swinging back as a free people. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox, and I'm wishing everybody a happy holiday season. We'll see you on the New Year's giveaway show. I think we'll probably do the Sunday show still and do the High Voltage Sunday giveaway. But the big giveaway, again, $3,000 giveaway, we'll be promoting it throughout the week. Will be New Year's Day at sometime after 4:20, whenever we get on the air. On that note, I'm out. I'm going to smoke more weed and then a very long walk. Get healthy, get fit, get ready for 2020, and think about what is your New Year's resolution going to be, because I've had to think about what's mine going to be. Now, I've already shed the weight that I said I was going to do, so that New Year's resolution has already been done before New Year's got here. So now I got to go, okay, what's the next thing I got to do? So for me, it's a lot about health. It's a lot about focusing on what I'm doing, which is going to be my business and my company, and making sure that I'm not focusing on all the distractions and all the side stuff that it's very easy to get distracted on social media, especially when you run your business on social media. when you're running your business on social media, it makes it that much harder to not get engaged. But hey, it's part of being a social media character. I thank you all for tuning in on YouTube. A lot of our old fans are coming back. We will be growing. The next show on Sunday, we'll be talking about growing. We'll have plants out. We'll be showing pre-recorded videos of the tent to show you guys where the plants are at. Now that we finally tripped them into flower, we can actually talk about something that's exciting. Plants that are in veg are like, to me, it's kind of like dating a girl. It's like, this is so fucking boring. Let's just get home. Let's get drunk and go to bed. You know, like, that's me. I'm old school. But, you know, I'm not down for that whole, let's go spend the night friggin' dating and friggin' farting around all night. Like, let's just get with it. But anyway, I love you guys. And Evelyn, I see you're watching on Facebook there. Your prize will be mailed out. I was told this as soon as they get back. I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd. They're back at work at High Voltage, and they will get it out to you. And please post up pictures. Let people see what you're getting, because I want people to know what they're getting. I want people to see what they're getting. You know, we go through the trouble of doing these giveaways. Normally they don't have to pay COD, but this light is so heavy that, you know, they need to pay it. You know, I can talk to them over the phone. I can do whatever to help arrange it, but you know, I'm not going to get stuck with any more bills. Not for giving stuff out for free. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, I better get off this goddamn show. Now I'm overboard. Anyway, love you guys all. Have a happy holiday season. And again, get ready for what your New Year's, what are they called again? Resolutions?
Yes.
Well, your New Year's resolutions are going to be. And yeah.